Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on the Nintendo investor meeting. So in this video, we're going to talk about something that is a little bit concerning, I think, in my opinion, and kind of strange how Nintendo considers the power of the Nintendo Switch. Because in my opinion, the Nintendo Switch is underpowered. I think everyone knows that, everyone accepts that. We usually buy it not for the graphics, but for the games. The games, if they're fun, will come and play them. So it's interesting to see Nintendo come out and say certain things on the power and almost kind of turn a blind eye to some of the graphical problems and power of the Nintendo Switch. As always guys, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, or if you didn't enjoy this video, of course dislike if you want. So this was the question. I'd like to hear the honest opinions of the developers about whether the hardware specifications of the Nintendo Switch, now in its 7th year, are sufficient enough to bring all of their game ideas to fruition. As a game software developer, if you ask me whether Nintendo Switch has sufficient performance, I would not say it is lacking. However, game developers generally want more, and will always want to incorporate a lot of elements that exceed the hardware limitations. Since the Famicom era, we have worked on how to fit these elements inside the framework with certain limitations, and our job is to figure out how to create a fun game with these constraints, I believe. So he's not exactly saying that, yeah, those limitations are holding us back, but he kinda is. He's saying that these limitations, we have to figure out how to fit them in the game with the constraints that the hardware has for us. So he's kinda saying it without saying it, if you know what I mean. This kind of feels like when you're asked a question and you don't really want to say it, so you try to go another route to say it and make it sound better than what you actually said, if that makes any sense. It's kind of downplaying it, and in my opinion, yeah, the Nintendo Switch is lacking power. I think anyone who says it's not is kind of in denial. I mean, some of these games on the Nintendo Switch do have problems because of the Nintendo Switch's power. That's not to say those are bad games. I think games like, let's say, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, that's a great example of a game that's really fun but does have a lot of problems with the game. I mean, the frame rate on that game is sometimes really bad. In fact, even when we played the demo, because if I recall there was a demo, the performance on that was also bad as well. So I would like to see more power. I would like to see better performance on the Nintendo Switch, and sometimes that's not even a huge upgrade. Sometimes you can get things like DLSS, and that would be a improvement over the last Nintendo Switch. And more developers in this investor meeting have spoken out as well on this topic, and one even says this: "We have been developing Nintendo Switch software for a long time and have used various methods to overcome performance barriers." So there are performance barriers. The only reason why you would have performance barriers is if the software and the hardware, the hardware is lacking. Now, of course, there is the side of the developer and what they're trying to do with the game that can also affect the performance of the game too, but let's be honest here, the Nintendo Switch ain't the most powerful device around. It's gonna have problems, and that's kind of the sacrifice you get for the price of the console. I fully believe that if Nintendo really wanted to make a powerful handheld, they could make a powerful handheld. It would just cost more, and that would be off-putting to a lot of people. That's why I kind of like that idea of having the Pro version of the console. And another thing that would factor into that also as well, now that I think about it, is cost of that. Would they make a return on those consoles? Is it worth making a more expensive handheld in favor of having higher frame rate and resolution and so on? Is there going to be enough people that buy into that? Let me know in the comment section below if you would be willing to pay for, say, a $400 Nintendo Switch that does more resolution and more frame rates and just overall better performance. Like, let's say on the power of the PS4 Pro. Definitely not the PS5, because there's no way you're fitting that into a handheld and making it just super cheap. I mean, the battery alone would just die incredibly quick. And that's another thing you have to factor in, is other things other than performance. The battery life. How long can you play this? The one thing that's great about the Nintendo Switch is it does have a decent battery life. It's not super quick. You do get some game on it. So there's other factors when it comes into having a more powerful Nintendo Switch, not just, oh, we need more power. You gotta think about the price, you gotta think about the side effects of that power, you gotta think about if anyone is even willing to buy this thing over what I would say is still a fantastic console. I love my Nintendo Switch, I love the games that I'm playing on it, and a lot of them are really great. So far, I mean, there's over 125 million Nintendo Switch units out there, so obviously Nintendo is doing something right. It's the third best selling console of all time. There is something right being done here, and obviously people love the Nintendo Switch. Would more power be great? Yeah, 100%. I'm not saying it's not that it wouldn't be great to be able to play these games at higher frame rates and higher resolution or just a clearer picture. I'm saying that you have to think about other aspects when it does come to a more powerful Nintendo Switch. It's not just, oh, we need more power. If we get more power, then everything will be okay. But I do think the first one from the first developer is kind of downplaying the Nintendo Switch power lacking, if that's what you want to call it. The lack of power in the Nintendo Switch. That's what I meant to say. I don't know why I mixed all the words up. I think another thing you have to factor in as well is that Nintendo isn't really trying to compete with Sony and Xbox in terms of power. They are doing their own thing. Now, it doesn't mean they don't compete with them. I think they fully do. A lot of people either, if you don't have enough money, you can only buy one console, and sometimes that's the Switch. Sometimes that's just the PS5. Sometimes that's just the Xbox Series X. I know a lot of people do kind of have the duo thing going on. There's the Nintendo Switch and PS5, or Nintendo Switch and PC, or Nintendo Switch and Xbox Series X, or some kind of formation of that. So there's also that, but I think a lot of people who maybe don't have a lot of money are just concerned with one platform and play on one platform. And if that's you, then you probably didn't get the Nintendo Switch for the graphics. You probably got it for the games. And that's what we really care about when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. Are these games playable? Are they great? Are they fun? And are they in a playable state? Because there are games on the Nintendo Switch that aren't in a playable state in some ways. Again, the Age of Calamity. I kind of dropped that game for a while because of the performance issues. It was annoying. I hated having all of those frame rate dips. It was very noticeable to the point where it was ruining my fun on the game. And even some spots in Tears of the Kingdom do have frame rate dips. That's not something that is completely gone. In Breath of the Wild, I've heard people say that a lot of spots have frame rate dips. So there is some problems that are linked to the hardware, and to say that, oh, because we can overcome these issues, they're just not there. No, they're still there. You just found a little workaround. But eventually, as we go later down the line, we're gonna need more power. Not even to make the games bigger and better, just to make sure that they run at an acceptable rate. I think that's the key here, at an acceptable rate when it comes to frame rate and resolution. Are they playable? Because there have been games on the Nintendo Switch that just weren't playable. And this kind of brings you to the Nintendo Switch 2 talk, or the next Nintendo Switch, or the next Nintendo console. How much power are they gonna pack in this console? Because it is gonna come. Like they said, they're in their 7th year, so they're gonna have to be making another console. Most likely it's currently in development right now. There's no way that the Nintendo Switch can continue for another 3 to 4 years and not see significant problems when it comes to newer games. We're already seeing the slowdown of the current Nintendo Switch, and I think that's basically because everyone who has one, everyone who's gonna get one is gonna get one, and they get multiple ones too as well. We've established that from the past video on the shareholder meeting. Now, Nintendo does want to sell another 15 million units, and really the only way you're gonna be able to do that is make sure that you're bringing out game after game, really great hits, things that make people want to buy Nintendo Switches, even if they already own a Nintendo Switch. And that also includes Nintendo Switch OLEDs, which is why I believe we're probably going to get more Nintendo Switch OLEDs later down the line as well. I think they're not going to stop that on that side as well. But overall, guys, I do think that the Nintendo Switch is underpowered. Is it a bad system? No, I don't think it's a bad system. I think it's a great system. It has plenty of games. Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. We're having some great games coming up. Mario Wonder, the Super Mario RPG remake. We also have The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom recently released. We have Pikmin 4 recently released, which is also getting good reviews as well. So overall, the games on the system are fantastic. It would be nice to have more power and better resolution and so on, but I don't think it's necessarily absolutely needed to push the Nintendo Switch consoles. Now, when it comes to the next Nintendo console, I think then you're going to have an upgrade over the Nintendo Switch, of course. That always happens. Every single time we do get a new console, it's always going to be more powerful than the past one. That's just how these things work. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think the Nintendo Switch is fine as it is? Do you think that it needs more power? Do you think DLSS would help it? What are your thoughts on this conversation when it comes to the Nintendo Switch power and how some of the developers are viewing it when it comes to the Switch's power? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.